Nectar of Devotion. This is the book which is given by Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Prabhupada has translated it into English. And this is the law book of ISKCON. Whatever doubts regarding our devotional service to the Lord we may have, we will get answer to all of them in this book. So it is very important to learn this book. And till last class we have seen up to 13th chapter. Today we are continuing with the 14th, 15th and 16th chapter. First of all, let us offer our humble obeisances to Sri Sri Radha Govinda, by whose mercy we are able to do this course and for whose pleasure we are doing all these activities. Sri Sri Radha Govinda ki jai, Sri Sri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You can all join with me for this Mangalacharan. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Let us see in brief what we studied in the previous classes. This book begins with the preface, that is the Bhakti Rasa, and then introduction is talking about Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan means we pay our obeisances to our Guru and the Lord, Shri Radha Govinda. And it also gives the pure devotional service definition, Anya Bilashita Shunyam. Then from chapter 1, the characteristics of the devotional service are explained. There are 4 laharis, and this the second lahari is the sadhana bhakti, and also there is raganuga bhakti. Chapter 3 explains about the eligibility for accepting the devotional service, that is the causeless mercy of the devotee and the eagerness of the practitioner. Then pure devotional service, it is completely free from the liberation, desire for liberation and sense gratification. And the devotion, pure devotional service itself is self-sufficient. There is no separate atonement that is needed in this regard. Those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, they don't have to practice anything else for purification. It's a complete system. Then how to practice the devotional service? There are totally 64. They are divided into different parts in different chapters. Then evidence regarding the devotional principles, the do's and don'ts, that is the first 10. Then what are the offenses that we have to avoid? Chapter 9 is about the ways to practice pure devotional service. And chapter 10 sorry for this. ಇಲ್ವಾ? ನಾನು continue. Chapter 9 is ways to practice the devotional service, and chapter 10 is about ways to practice pure devotional service. So it's a continuation from 9 to 10. So here you can see the 22 first 10 are do's and don'ts, then 22 42 are in the chapter 9 among the 64, and then 43 to 46 is given in the chapter 10. Chapter 11 is continuation from 47 to 53. Then 54 to 64 are the remaining parts, and in that the last 5, that is 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, these are the most important items that in our devotional service. That is the sadhu sangha, that is the association of devotees, nama kirtan, that is chanting japa, doing sankirtan, and bhagavata shravana, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam or reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Then nama sadhu sangha, nama kirtan, bhagavata shravana, Srimurtira Shraddhaya Sevana, and Mathura Vasa, that is worshipping the deity of the Lord, that is Vigraha, and the residing in a holy place, that is like Mathura. So these are the different items. These 5 items are considered as the most potent practices in devotional service. Anybody practices it, they will very quickly and easily advance in their spiritual life. Now we are continuing to the 14th chapter, that is today's topic, devotional qualifications. So what are the different qualifications that are required for starting the devotional service? Just like if you want to go for second standard, you must have studied first standard. Similarly, if you want to go for degree, you should have studied the school. You have already passed it. Similarly, for devotional service, if I want to begin, what are the qualifications that I should have so that I can start devotional service? What are the qualifications? Now, relation of the other practices to sadhana. Are they part of 64 items? If no, what is their relationship with the sadhana bhakti? So in the 64 items, we have not included so many other things, like a person may be very pious, he is living a life without harming anyone, a peaceful life without creating any trouble to others. A person is living a very decent life. So such kind of things are not considered here in the 64 angas. So where do they fall? Just like the varnashrama. Varnashrama means there are 4 varna and 4 ashrama: brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, and shudra. These are the varna and ashrama which you already studied in Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada has very clearly explained that these things are not by birth, but by the action or activity of the person. the tendency of the person. And this is not limited only to India only. It is there everywhere, but we may call it with the different names. So Varna and Ashrama is the part of society. So where does this fall? Now, this Varna Ashrama is not a item of the Bhakti. Why? Because it is a system for regulated satisfaction of one's desires. Now, if I want to live a peaceful life, then I have to follow Varnashrama. So what is Varnashrama? According to my tendency, according to my whatever practices or whatever I have the desire, accordingly I have to live. Some people may like to have, they may like to have knowledge, that is develop knowledge, gain a lot of knowledge, and through that they will make their life, just like the professors or teachers or the people in the society who are like visionaries. Or some people may like to fight or protect others from harm. They are like the soldiers. They protect the nation. Because of them, we are peacefully sitting here. And some people like to do business and make a lot of money, and through that they will become happy. And some people give service to the society. So through the service, they become happy. Now, whatever tendency one person has, accordingly he can choose the work. So this is just for satisfying somebody's desire according to his tendency. Bhakti, however, means anya abhilashita shunyam, freedom from personal desire. So in Varnashrama, the personal desire is included. But in the pure devotional service, the personal desires are shunya, that is zero. Only the desire, whatever I am having, it is only for the service of the Lord. So that is called that is the pure devotional service. So Varnashrama doesn't come under the devotional 64 angas, but definitely Varnashrama is going to help us to advance in devotional service, or it is easier if somebody is following Varnashrama to take to bhakti. Now, there is a literature called Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is a book written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. In that book, the life and teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is included. In that book, there is conversation between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya. This Ramananda Raya was a governor of Madras during those days, 500 years ago. He was a great devotee of the Lord. Actually, he is a Arjuna himself, incarnation of Arjuna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. So they are in their conversation, there is a question comes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Ramananda Raya, what is the best way to practice Krishna consciousness? Then Ramananda Raya replies, that is, in the beginning he says, Varnashrama. You follow Varnashrama, then you will gain devotion to Krishna. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejects that idea. He tells this is just external. So it is not, it may or may not lead someone to Krishna consciousness. And in Srimad Bhagavatam also it is told, recommended for one not Krishna conscious. That means one who is not Krishna conscious at present, he may start with the Varnashrama, but following Varnashrama is not prerequisite for devotional service. So what is this Varnashrama, or a person who is living a very good life? That means he doesn't harm anyone. I don't do anything bad to anyone. I earn my money and I spend it for my sense gratification, and I'm living a peaceful life. So what is wrong in it? Somebody may ask. So what is the problem here? The journey is good, but there is no goal. The goal is achieving Krishna's lotus feet. That itself we have forgotten. The very reason why we have come here is to perfect ourselves so that we can serve Krishna. But that goal itself is missing here. Just like a person is driving a car and he is driving very nicely, he is not hitting anyone, he is following all the rules of traffic, but finally he doesn't know where to go. If you go and ask him, sir, your driving is very nice, but where are you going? May I know where are you going? Then he says, no, I don't know. I just want to drive, so I'm driving. So the very purpose of living is missing there. So I'm living a peaceful life, but why I'm living? That question is not answered here. Next comes the knowledge and renunciation. What is the need for having knowledge? If I don't have knowledge, am I not able to understand Krishna or practice Krishna consciousness? No. There are so many people who had no knowledge about this material world or even the spiritual activities or the scriptural knowledge, but still they have achieved Krishna Bhakti or Krishna Prema. There are so many simple people, they don't know anything about Krishna consciousness, or they live a very simple life, but they have intense devotion to Krishna. That is, in that case, we can say that knowledge is also not prerequisite, and renunciation is also not prerequisite. Somebody is in the middle of so many opulent facilities, but still they may be pure devotee of the Lord. That is also possible. Earlier kings were they were called as Rajarshi. That means they had all opulences, but they are not attached to it. So knowledge and renunciation is not the prerequisite. It will free one from the distraction to sense objects, but not focus on Krishna. So here we learn what not to do, but we don't learn here what to be done, what is to be done. So that is knowledge and renunciation is also not required. Therefore, not an item of sadhana bhakti. Can even make heart hard, or what happens when we develop a lot of knowledge and the renunciation, we become indifferent to the emotions, so that we will become like a machine. We can see the great sages who go to forest and they do a lot of tapasya. Because of that tapasya, they get very easily angry, or their heart is very hard. They are not attached to anything, not even to Krishna. In such a hard heart, we cannot understand Krishna. Understanding Krishna requires very soft heart. So if you are not soft hearted, our devotion or our spiritual practice cannot be successful. Then what is the solution? Actually, we don't have to make our heart hard, but rather we have to expand. That means instead of thinking of the self, we should think in a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We should be compassionate to the entire world. If I'm only thinking about myself or my family, my country, these are like very limited. But if you are thinking about the entire creation, the each and every living entity is the part and parcel of Krishna. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is required. Not that we make our heart very hard and we don't have any sensitivity. In such a case, we can't achieve Krishna. Bhakti, however, means to soft heart. So these things are explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is 11th canto, 20th chapter, text number 31, 32, and 33. Next, continuing further. So how to make the heart soft, or how we can avoid being hard-hearted? So there are two methods or two formula. One is Yukta Vairagya, that is accept whatever needed in the service of the Lord. It may be material or it may be spiritual. Actually, there is nothing called as material and spiritual separately. Whatever used in the service of the Lord, it is spiritual, and whatever used in the service of personal desire, it is material. So anything that is available, just like we are using this computer, we are using camera, we are using internet, and we are using vehicles, microphone, all these things are material objects, or they are manufactured, or they are invented for sense gratification of someone, but it can be used in the service of the Lord. So that is called as yukta vairagya. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjatah nirbandha krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya muchyate. So without being attached, if you are able to use whatever you have with you in the service of the Lord, then that is called as real vairagya. That is proper practice of Krishna consciousness. Don't use it for your sense gratification, and accept it only because it is useful in the service of the Lord, and don't have any attachment to it, personal attachment. By doing so, a person gets purified, because he is offering everything to the everything to Lord himself. That is, and one simple example, we all like to eat. There is nobody who is not eating. And palatable dishes, we don't like to eat every day same thing. We need some changes. So that palatable dishes desire, we can turn into devotional service. Just because we can offer this food, whatever we are eating every day, before eating, you offer it to the Lord, then you accept, then it becomes prasadam. So that is devotional service. That is acceptance. You don't have to give up eating. We can't independently manufacture what Krishna wants. Yeah, this is one more point we should remember. I can't understand, or I cannot manufacture whatever Krishna requires. What is required by Krishna, that Krishna himself has told in the Bhagavad Gita and in other literatures. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayachati. Krishna will accept leaf, water, fruits, and patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. Patra means leaf, pushpa means flower, toya means water, and phala means fruits. So these are the different items which Krishna accepts. It is including the vegetables, grains, all these things Krishna will accept. Krishna is not going to accept the meat or fish or egg. All these things Krishna has not told that he will accept it. So we should understand what is desired by Krishna. Now we have to understand all these things by the help of Krishna's representative, that is Guru. Whatever the spiritual master instructs, accordingly we have to serve the Lord. Then what is to be rejected? If we reject these things, thinking that they are material, then that is called as Falgu Vairagya. Prapanchikataya buddhya harisambandhi vastunaha mumukshubhihi parityago vairagyam falgu katyate. That means thinking that these things are material, it belongs to this material world. If I simply reject it, even though it can be used in the service of the Lord, then it's called as Falgu. Falgu means wrong, or it is false. Artificial renunciation of things that can be used in the Krishna service, and it can harm our bhakti, because already we have the tendency for those items, those things, and I am not using it for Krishna service. So there is a chance that I may use it for my personal need. So typewriters, microphones, aeroplanes, all these things can be used, because Krishna's objects, finally everything belongs to Krishna. It has to be used in the service of the Lord. The wealth and followers. Donation is in devotional service, but subsequent use of wealth is not his devotional service. So here, when a person gives donation for the temple or any spiritual practice, that money or that donation which he gives becomes his devotional service. Now I can't say, oh, money is material, I can't use it. No, you can use it for the service of the Lord. Earlier kings used to build big temples, which is present till now, and it lasts for thousands of years because they have built it with the stone. So that is devotional service. Now subsequent use of wealth. So when you give this wealth to the person who is practicing spirituality, who is spreading the name of the Lord, in that case, whatever devotional service he performs using that money, that becomes his devotional service. The help what you give is your devotional service, and using that help, how he spreads Krishna consciousness, that becomes his devotional service. If carried away by both, his devotional service will slacken. Now, if a person, if he gets this donation, and if he doesn't use it in the Krishna's service, or if somebody becomes very lazy after getting the facility, then his devotional service will be slackened. That means it will lose its strength. Saintly qualities like ahimsa, satya, brahmacharya, these things are also not included in 64 items. Then where do they go? They are not directly cause of love of Krishna, but the love of love of Krishna causes this. That is, these things. See, satyam, ahimsa, brahmacharya. These things are not bringing us to Krishna consciousness. But when you come to Krishna consciousness, all these things will come. It's like a vegetarian. We don't practice vegetarianism in ISKCON. Means we don't preach to people, please don't eat meat, or you have to eat only vegetables. That way we are not preaching. But when they become devotees, they are automatically vegetarians. So all devotees are vegetarians, but all vegetarians are not devotees. So these things are already achieved when you are coming to devotional service. So they are not the compulsory items, or they are not coming under the 64 items which are categorized by Rupa Goswami. So vegetarians are not devotees, but devotees are all vegetarianism. In Skanda Purana, it is there is a story where a hunter also becomes a perfect devotee. When once Narada Muni, he preached to a hunter, and that hunter agreed to become devotee. Now when he becomes devotee, he automatically gives up his hunting habit, and he will live a peaceful life, or he will not harm anyone, the animals and all. So automatically he is practicing ahimsa. A devotee always speaks the truth, and he follows brahmacharya. So these things are coming as a byproduct of bhakti. Then 9 basic types of devotional service. This is these things are directly not explained in 64 items, but these 64 items are the expansion of these 9 only. That is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Sparanam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. In the 64 items, these 9 items only explained in detail, but not directly it is visible. One can achieve ecstatic love by executing all 9, or any one of them, or any 2 of them, whatever number possible you can practice, and every limb or every item will help us to advance in spiritual life. 9 basic types, devotees who exemplify them, practices and best examples. Yeah, this is coming in the next slide. So how 9 types of devotional service, beginning from hearing the glories of the Lord up to final, you can see here, Atma Nivedanam, how it is helping, and who are the people became successful in this practice. So hearing, this is once I have already explained this during the question and answer session once. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So that is these are the 9. So Shravanam means hearing. Parikshit Maharaj heard Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 continuous day and night without any rest. Similarly, chanting, Shukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 day and night. And remembering, Prahlad Maharaj always remembered Lord Narayana. And Akrura is the one who took Krishna from Vrindavana to Mathura. So he is known for praying. And Lakshmi Devi always massaging the feet of Lord Vishnu. And Prithu Maharaj, this story comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. He is known for deity worship. Hanuman, as we all know, he is the Ramadasa. He is always serving the Lord. Then Arjuna is a friend of Krishna, Sakha, Krishna Sakha. And Bali Maharaj is the one who completely surrendered to Krishna. So this is Atma Nivedanam. And there is the 10th one, that is Ambarish Maharaj, who did all the 9 items. Next, coming to chapter number 15, spontaneous devotional service. It is called as Ragatmika Bhakti. Ragatmika and Raganuga, these are the 2 words which we have heard. So Ragatmika Bhakti is the devotional service practiced by the devotees in Vrindavan. What is it? Attachment of the residents of Vrindavan for Krishna. Now, the residents of Vrindavana, when Krishna was there, Yashoda Mata was taking care of Krishna. But she doesn't know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if somebody goes and tries to convince her that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she will not accept it. She will tell, Krishna is my son and I love him. So that love itself is a devotional service. And there is no Raganuga Bhakti or there is no Sadhana Bhakti for Yashoda Mata. So that is called as Ragatmika Bhakti. Embodies perfection of spontaneous love for Krishna. How is it different from Raganuga Bhakti or Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti? Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti is the practice of devotee who aspires to develop the devotional mood of Ragatmika Bhakti. Now, through Raganuga Bhakti, so first comes the Sadhana Bhakti or Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. That is, we are endeavoring to practice Krishna consciousness. Then, after some time, it becomes spontaneous. We do the devotional service by practice. So that is called as Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Now, through Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, we have to reach Ragatmika Sadhana Bhakti. Now, this Ragatmika Bhakti, what are the main criteria? One is spontaneous, and this is another one is devotional. That means the person has unlimited devotion to Lord or the love for Lord, and it is spontaneously coming. There is no practice required. Just like Yashoda Mata don't have to sit and meditate on the form of the Lord, because Lord is present in her hand. There is no separate practice that she has to make. But we should not imitate it. Obsession with the pleasing Krishna. They will always try to please Krishna. They have no choice. They lovingly always think what is good for Krishna. Now, certain text regarding this in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, translation says, the original inhabitants of Vrindavana are attached to Krishna spontaneously in devotional service. Nothing can compare to such spontaneous devotional service, which is called Ragatmika Bhakti. When a devotee follows in the footsteps of devotees of Vrindavana, his devotional service is called Raganuga Bhakti. So we are trying to get the love of Krishna. So that is called Raganuga Bhakti. We cannot practice Raganuga Bhakti. We are practicing, we cannot practice Ragatmika Bhakti. We are practicing Raganuga Bhakti because we are coming through the sadhana. For us, it is not spontaneous, or it is not like by birth, or we are not Nitya Siddha. We are not always devotees. We are practicing, or we are trying to become devotees. That is Raganuga Bhakti. Continuing further, an advanced devotee is attracted by the service rendered by an eternal servitor of the Lord. This attraction is called spontaneous attraction. Technically, it is called Swarupa Upalabdhi. This stage is not achieved in the beginning. In the beginning, one has to render service strictly according to the regulatory principles set forth by the revealed scriptures and the spiritual master. By continuously rendering service through the process of Vaidhi Bhakti, one's natural inclination to is gradually awakened. That is called spontaneous attraction or Raganuga Bhakti. Now, in the spiritual world, when we are there, or when we were there, we have a unique relation with the Lord. In our family, every person has some relation to me. My father, my mother, my sister, my grandmother, my grandfather, or all these are different relationships that I have. Similarly, every devotee in the spiritual world has some kind of devotion to Krishna, and there is some kind of relation. It's a unique relationship between the Lord and the devotee. It may be in the Dasya state, or Sakhya, Vatsalya, or Madhurya. This state or this Swarupa is unknown at present. We don't know what it is, and we don't have to try to know also at this present moment. We don't have to learn, or we don't have to try to understand what it is. But what we have to do, just follow the instructions of spiritual master and revealed scriptures and practice Vaidhi Bhakti. When we practice Vaidhi Bhakti, slowly, gradually, we will come to spontaneous devotion or Raganuga Bhakti. Then one day we will understand what is my relation to Krishna. This is like when a person eats food. When I have my lunch, my hunger is reduced, or it is gone away without any certification from others. I don't have to go to someone. Have my this appetite has gone down, or am I satisfied? No, I don't have to ask anyone. I can realize myself. Similarly, I don't have to ask someone, have I come to Raganuga Bhakti? We will feel it within. We don't have to ask. Devotional service in spontaneous love is vividly expressed and manifested by inhabitants of Vrindavana. Devotional service that accords with their devotional service is called Raganuga Bhakti, or devotional service following in the wake of spontaneous loving service. So how to practice Raganuga Bhakti? That we have to learn from Ragatmika Bhakti. So following Ragatmika Bhakti, or the devotees who are in Ragatmika Bhakti, is the Raganuga Bhakti. There are two processes by which one may execute this Raganuga Bhakti. One is external, other one is internal. When self-realized, the advanced devotee externally remains like a neophyte and executes all the Shastric injunctions, especially those concerning hearing and chanting. But within his mind, in his original purified self-realized position, he serves Krishna in Vrindavana in his particular way. He serves Krishna 24 hours a day, all day and night. Now, when a person comes to Raganuga stage, or when he advances in the spiritual life, there is no need to show anyone. The person will understand and he will keep it for himself. Externally, he should behave like an ordinary person. or like a neophyte, how he behaves. And internally, you have to practice all the devotional service, whatever Shastric injunctions are given, and the intense love or intense desire for hearing and chanting of the Lord, chanting the name of the Lord. In the beginning, now we are struggling to chant 16 rounds. How to finish 2 hours? It is very difficult, very painful. But when a person becomes this, when he has this Raganuga Bhakti, he will chant 24 hours, just like Haridas Thakur. He was chanting almost every minute of 24 hours. Hardly he was sleeping. So in such cases, it is called Raganuga Bhakti, and we should not make a show of it. And within the mind, you have to practice Krishna consciousness 24 hours. But sometimes what happens, people will try to imitate. Even though I have not qualified, they will try to imitate. That is called Sahajiya. Continuing further, the mood of surrender during the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti, that is devotion service under strict rules and regulations, is different from that in the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, spontaneous devotional service. So the mood of surrender, that means the rules and regulations or instructions for Raganuga and Vaidhi Bhakti, they are not same. In the spontaneous stage, that is in the Raganuga, the mood of surrender is the natural expression of the self. When the process of surrender is followed step by step, one patiently executes the Lord's order and gradually becomes enthusiastic. Such a devotee follows the regulative principles of hearing, chanting, remembering, and so on, and emulates previous saintly preceptors. In the association of devotees, he becomes more and more proficient in rendering devotional service. Gradually, his service becomes easier. Thus, constant remembrance of the Lord comes simply by developing enthusiasm and patience in devotional activities. So, when you are having devotee association, it is very easy to practice Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we may make mistake or we may manufacture something which may not be in line with devotional service that is explained by the spiritual master. Continuing further, the more you are engaged in devotional service, the more your senses become pure or uncovered. And when it is completely uncovered without any designation, then you are capable to serve Krishna. This is apprenticeship, or Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, that is apprenticeship. That is, we go to, just like in engineering, we do this, or in other field also it is there. You practice under someone who is expert, so that you will also learn. Real Bhakti or Para Bhakti, that is Raganuga Bhakti. This Raganuga Bhakti we have to come after surpassing the Vaidhi Bhakti. In the material world, if we do not try to make further and further progress in devotional service, if we are simply sticking to the Shastric regulation process and do not try to go beyond that, Shastric process also regulation that is required. Without Shastric process, you cannot go to that platform. So what is told here, we have to practice Krishna consciousness sincerely in the beginning, continuously, sincerely, then the Raganuga stage will come automatically. There is no need to hurry. So slowly you have to practice Krishna consciousness by following all the rules and regulations of the bhakti. Do not try to make, if we are not making further progress, that is, whenever we make rules and regulations, it has some limitation, just like in the following Ekadashi. You can drink water, you can drink milk, or you can have vegetables, or you can have many things are allowed. But everything is allowed, but we have to make our endeavor to advance. Or chanting 16 rounds. Prabhupada told chanting 16 rounds is the must. then you have to do service. So if you're not doing service, if you don't have any work, then better you chant more. You chant 20 rounds, you can chant 32 rounds, because you are not doing any service. So we should try to push ourselves further, more and more. Not like, oh, I finished my 16 rounds, now I don't have it to any other work, I'll just go and take rest, or I'll sleep, oversleep. These things are not good, conducive for practicing Krishna consciousness. Further continuation, evidence. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th chapter, 7th canto, 1st chapter, 30 and 31st sloka. These are some of the examples how people came to Krishna consciousness. One is gopis. Gopis came to Krishna out of lust. Now let us understand what is this lust. Lust means the intense desire to fulfill. There is a force which will make us to fulfill our desire. That is called lust. That is the gopis. Those are the gopis. Then out of fear, Kamsa was always remembering Krishna. Even though we don't call him as devotee, Kamsa had always remembrance of Krishna. Shishupala was envious of Krishna. Wherever Krishna was being worshipped, Shishupala will go and try to stop it. In Rajasuya Yajna, performed by Yudhishthir Maharaj, this Shishupala comes there. Yudhishthir Maharaj performs the Agra Puja, or the main chief person was Krishna. So Krishna was taking the Agra Puja. That time Shishupala comes and insults him. Then Krishna had to liberate. He killed him through Sudarshana and he got liberation. So because of this enviousness, Shishupala always remembering Krishna. And Yadavas or Yadus who were in Dwarka, they are the family members of Krishna. So they also remember Krishna. Then Pandavas, with friendship, they always remembered Krishna. Now, have they all taken the same destination? Definitely no. This Kamsa and Shishupala, they are demons. They thought about Krishna because of fear and envy. So they will only go to Brahma Jyoti. How can Kamsa and Gopis have the same destination? No. They will go to Brahma Jyoti, because when you have not developed love for Krishna, what will you do after going to Krishna Loka? So Krishna will not take us there if we don't have love for him. So impersonal effulgence versus Bhagavan destination. Now these people who are demons, they may be taken to the effulgence or Brahma Jyoti, and those who are devotees like Gopis and Yadus and Pandavas, they will be taken to Krishna's planet. This is like sun and sun globe. The sun globe is like a hot plate, and sunshine is what we see, which reaches the earth. But there is a sun who is inside the sun globe, whom we have not seen, or even modern scientists also are not capable of seeing him. But as Srila Prabhupada says in his many of the books, the sun is a person, and he has the globe, which is compared to the Brahma Jyoti, and this sunshine are the different living entities, or the energy of the Lord. Now, understanding sunshine is not a complete understanding of sun or sun globe. So we may understand sunshine, but we cannot say that I have achieved Krishna, or I have achieved what is the sun. Similarly, if a person gets liberated, there are different types of liberation, and demons will be sent to the impersonal effulgence or Brahma Jyoti, where there is no variety. Entering kingdom and king's palace. So entering kingdom is not equivalent to meeting the king, or king's going to king's palace. There is a lot of difference. Just like in India, whole India is having one prime minister. And just by being in India, I can't say that I have met prime minister. If I have to meet him, I have to go personally and meet him. So entering the kingdom cannot make us to say that I have entered king's palace or I have talked to the king. So that we have to do separately. Brahmanda Purana confirms this. Personified Vedas also confirm. So these are the evidences. Whatever you heard just now. Now types of Ragatmika Bhakti. In this Ragatmika Bhakti also there are two types. One is sensual attraction, that's called Kama Rupa, that is lust, and relationship, that is Sambandha Rupa. Now somebody may say, how can we say that gopis are attracted to Krishna by lust? And we say that lust has to be given up always, it should not be, it is a hindrance for the devotion. Then how can we adjust this here? So then we have to see what is the actual definition of lust, which is mentioned at this point. So why compared with the lust, the devotees' attraction to Krishna, gopis' attraction to Krishna, why it is compared to lust? Because the greatest force in this material world is the lust. So that we can get a slightest hint of this intensity, how gopis had a desire to achieve Krishna or serve Krishna. But gopis had no desire for their own sense gratification at all. When Krishna was having the headache, gopis were ready to give anything, the dust of their feet, even though they are going to hell, never mind. That is called as the real love or the spontaneous attraction. So that itself is considered as the lust because it's a desire. Even though it is a desire to serve Krishna or to please Krishna, it is a desire which is there within us or within the gopis. So that is why it is considered as the lust. So their only desire is to please Krishna. By comparing with our lust, we can see how gopis had most consuming and overwhelming urge to please Krishna. What is the difference from our lust? Now we also have lust. Is it the same? No. Our lust is to keep ourselves at the center. We don't keep Krishna at the center. There is a difference between iron and gold, even though both are metal. Iron, the cost of iron and cost of gold, we know. Iron we measure in kgs and gold we measure in grams. So that is the difference. So gold is very expensive. Similarly, all those things which are material are like iron. Those things which are spiritual are gold. Now that is the difference. Actually, there is nothing called material and spiritual separately. Whatever used in the service of Krishna, that is spiritual. Whatever we use in the service of personal sense gratification, that is material. For Krishna, there is nothing called material. Everything is spiritual. Difference is in the motivation. If your motivation is only to please Krishna, then that lust is good. Proof that gopis' love is not lust. Great devotees. Now, how do you say that it is not lust? Actually, what we speak in this material world, it is the greatest love that they had for Krishna. There are many evidences, but the strong evidence, what we can understand here, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who is a sannyasi, and Uddhava, who is a constant companion of Krishna, they have confirmed that gopis love as the highest. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and in many other places that gopis, Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhu, like that, the Vrajavadhu, the gopis of Vrindavana, whatever devotional service they have practiced, that is the highest. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Similarly, Uddhava, he was a great devotee of the Lord, but the Lord wanted to see him, the gopis, how is their intensity of Krishna, intensity to serve Krishna. So when Uddhava went to Vrindavana, he saw gopis are like they are stunned in remembrance of Krishna, and they completely forgotten everything external, everything about external world. So that is, then Uddhava says these gopis' love for Krishna is perfect. So it is not lust, it is love, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a sannyasi. He will not speak all these things. And Uddhava is a great devotee of the Lord, and he is a personal servant of Krishna, and he also has confirmed this. Now there is one more, that is in the Krishna's story in Krishna book, or in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. We have a personality called Kubja. What Kubja did, she offered some sandalwood pulp to Krishna, and she desired Krishna's association. Is this also same as Gopi's love? No. Acharya says that this cannot be considered as the kama rupa of gopis, but it can be called as kama praya, because Kubja had some personal desire to associate with Lord. Because almost mundane, it cannot be considered as kama rupa or the devotion to Krishna like gopis. It has some mundane tinge in it, but it is almost like gopis. So it's called as kama praya. Next relationship, that is Sambandha Rupa, Vrishnis and Yashoda, the people from Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwaraka, all these people who were relatives of Krishna, his father, his mother, uncle, and his wife's children, all these people, they are like Sambandha Rupa, the relation. Next, coming to chapter 16. Now it is 9 o'clock. I will finish within 10-15 minutes. Spontaneous devotion further described. Continuation. Spontaneous devotion, Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. The definition is an advanced practice intended to cultivate the service mood of an eternally perfect resident of Vrindavana, Ragatmika Bhakti. So what is Raganuga Bhakti? Following in the footsteps of people who have Ragatmika Bhakti is Raganuga Bhakti. How gopis were serving Krishna. Following in their footsteps doesn't mean that we have to imitate them, because the one who is in Ragatmika Bhakti, they don't have to practice the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti or chanting 16 rounds that is recommended by Srila Prabhupada. But one who is in Ragatmika Bhakti, they don't have to hold the mala and they have to practice this chanting. But spontaneously they have their mind always flowing through to Krishna, so they don't have to do separate tapasya or the penance. Prerequisite, what is the eligibility? Strong desire to serve Krishna in a specific relationship. In Raganuga Bhakti, our relationship to Krishna is more specific. How to get this? Hearing how eternal residents of Vrindavana spontaneously serve Krishna in various loving moods. So the best way to learn about Krishna is to hear about him from authorized people. We should not hear from unauthorized sources. Just like the Avaishnavo Mukhodgirinam Bhutam Harikatamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochishta Payoyatha. The glories of the Lord, it is called Harikatha Amrita. Amrita means milk. But if this milk is touched by snake, that poison mixes with the milk and the milk becomes poisonous. It is no longer Amrita or nectar. Similarly, if we hear the glories of the Lord from the mouth of a non-devotee, since he has no devotion to Krishna, whatever he explains, it will not be pleasing to heart, or it will not bring any transformation. When does eligibility manifest? When lobha or singular overwhelming desire to please Krishna in a particular way if any other desire can't process lobha. Lobha means greed. I want to serve Krishna. I want to see Krishna. I want to associate with Krishna. I want to practice Krishna consciousness. This is lobha. Rupa Goswami says, Tatra laulyam ekalam mulyam. What is the cost of Krishna consciousness? You don't have to be having a very great birth, or you don't have to practice very strong tapasya, because of which the heart may become very hard. But what is the need? Tatra laulyam ekalam mulyam. Laulya means this lobha or greed. An intense greed should be there to understand Krishna or to serve Krishna. Now, how to get this lobha? Not until anartha nivritti. So these are the different stages of devotional service, beginning from Shraddha. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Asakti, Ruchi, Nishta, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So these are the 9 items. Now in that fourth one is the Anartha Nivritti. That is, all bad habits has to be given up. So when we give up this, then when we come to the stage of Nishta, that is the 5th stage, then comes the Ruchi, then Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So when we cross Anartha Nivritti, when we come to Ruchi or Nishta state, this Lobha will come, or this intense desire or greediness to serve Krishna. How will Anartha Nivritti happen? That is by, again, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, which we have to practice. So that is what we are doing. Now somebody may ask, why you are telling all these things if you are not able to do it? What is the need for knowing? Because we should know all these things. This will give us a roadmap where we have to go, where we are now, and where we are going, and what is the journey in our spirituality. So that is not needed. That's why we learn all these things. But at present, we are nowhere near all these things. This Raganuga, Ragatmika are very, very far from us. At present, we are doing only Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and trying to clear the Anartha. So we don't have Nishta or Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema, all these things not yet come. Most of us are in the Anartha Nivritti state itself. Practices of Raga Anuga Sadhana Bhakti or Raga Anuga Sadhana Bhakti. Remembering Krishna with a particular devotee. Which devotee? That is, depends on aspiring relationship. Now, Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, we will have, when we reach this Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, we will have a particular tendency to serve Krishna. Just like in temple, we can see some people like to cook for the Lord. Some people like to decorate the Lord. Some people like to clean the temple. Some people do book distribution or the arrangement of books, and different services which are connected to Krishna. Keeping Radha Krishna at the center, we do all these services. So particularly we have to choose what kind of service I want to do. So that will be very clear when we reach the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And we have to find that one devotee who has all these qualities. And what kind of devotee you have to choose, that depends on your relationship or what kind of tendency you have. And how to achieve that aspiration, need to take shelter of Vrindavana, both physically and mentally. Then remembrance through internal and external service. How to remember Krishna? You just have to remember Krishna. So we have to always think of Krishna. Internally, we have to meditate on the Lord. Mentally, follow activities of a Siddha devotee. So internally, we should always think of Krishna and just follow the footsteps of previous Acharya. Beware of Sahajiyas. So at this point, there is a chance of getting into Sahajiya, means making the things cheaper. Oh, I have achieved Krishna consciousness. I have become Krishna conscious. Fully, I am free now. If you feel such things, it is not like, it may not be always pure devotional service. So you have to be very careful about this Sahajiya. Now, in the devotional service, it is not the attraction which you have to see, but the repulsion. Attraction, everyone gets attracted to the holy name in the beginning, or when they come to temple occasionally, they will like it. But when they do it regularly, on a regular basis, every day attending Mangalarti, every day chanting 16 rounds before sunrise, are you able to do that? Then it is good. And even after doing that, do you still have any attraction for material aspects? Then again, the person is not ready for Krishna consciousness. So beware of Sahajiyas. Our mind creates some tricks in such a way that we ourselves think that, oh, I have achieved Raganuga. Now I don't have to practice Krishna consciousness anymore. But such people we see, they have not yet cleared their anartha. Anartha means the useless practice, the smoking, drinking, or whatever the bad things we say. If they are not yet given up such things, they will end up with the Sahajiya. Rejection of Siddha Pranati. Siddha Pranali is, it is told, when we are in the spiritual world, we have a particular type of body or a particular type of relation to Krishna. Now somebody may imagine that I am this kind of devotee, so I have to practice in such a way. Just like in Vrindavana, somebody told for a devotee that in previous life, or when we were in the Vrindavana, you were the peacock of Krishna. Now Krishna's peacock is not ordinary. These peacocks or trees, they are not standing, or they are not there for their karma. They have accepted it voluntarily. Now in Siddha Pranali, the person try to imagine that I may be this, I may be that, and they behave accordingly. So you are a peacock of Krishna. Okay, now I have to behave like a peacock. No, that is wrong. That's wrong philosophy. If you are a peacock, if you understood it, then you must have already reached the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So they don't need any external these things. Performing activities of sadhana does not reject 64 items, but focuses on practice most conducive to his service. So these Raganuga Sadhana Bhaktas or devotees, they don't have to follow all the rules and regulations, but they just have love for Krishna. Example, doesn't abandon hearing, but hears more that nourishes his particular service mood. So you don't have to stop hearing, you just have to change the topic of hearing. There is one more called Pushti Marga. There is no need to explain much about that. That is also Vallabha Sampradaya coming with the Rudra Sampradaya. So that is Pushti Marga, where they also practice this alternative term for Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. If you read somewhere else as Pushti Marga, you have to consider it as Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti itself. Types of Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. What are the different types? One is Kamanuga, that is conjugal love. Eligibility is desire to hearing and worshipping Radha Krishna. Then our males are eligible. Everyone can practice. Actually, in the spiritual world, we are not like male. This male and female are there for this body only. A female body person can take a male body in the next life. or a male body person can take a female body in the next life. So this gender is only for this body. But when we give up this body and go to spiritual world, there everyone is considered as Prakriti. There is no Purusha. Purusha is the only one, that is Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna is the supreme person. He is the cause of all causes. The example is Rishis of Dandakaranya. They wanted to serve Krishna or serve Rama. Then Krishna says, I can't accept you. These Rishis were ready to take up the body of a female and join Sri Rama. But Sri Rama tells that I am Ekapatti Patni Vratasta. I can't marry here in this life. But next time when I come as Krishna, I will accept all of you. So that's how he married 16,000 wives. There are some of them are rishis, that is in Treta Yuga. They were doing tapasya, and next life they all took birth as wife of Krishna. Now in this conjugal love there are two types. One is Parakiya, other one is Swakiya. Parakiya is the gopis where marriage has not happened, and Swakiya means the married queens of Krishna in Dwaraka, and assisting those and serving Radharani and others, direct service in conjugal relationship. Now these gopis are assisting Radharani in service of Krishna. Now Sambandhanuga or parenthood or friendship, directly they want to be Krishna's father. But here also one problem is there, that is, we should not think that I want to become father of Krishna. I can think like I want to be like Krishna's father, but I should not try to take away the position of Nanda Maharaj or the Vasudeva or Devaki or Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. I want to remove them, and I want to go and sit in their position. That is wrong. I can go there and I can serve them and get benefited by the presence of Krishna. That is okay. So waiting to be Krishna's father, that is the Sambandhanuga. Danger of Mayavada, that is, if you think that I will replace Vasudeva and I myself will become Vasudeva, that is wrong. Indirectly aspiring for service and appreciation of Krishna's parents and friends. Follow Krishna's father, cherish the ideal. So here they have taken the aspiration, that is, they are indirectly aspiring for the service and appreciation. They may not directly serve the Lord, but indirectly they will always wish well for the Lord. Old man in Hastinapura instructed by Narada Muni. This is another example where the old man, he was doing tapasya. So Narada Muni instructs him so that he will achieve Krishna consciousness. Here are some of the instructions that we can read. Rupa Goswami says, spontaneous attraction to something while completely absorbed in thoughts of it with an intense desire and love. Devotional service executed with such feelings of spontaneous love is called Raganuga Bhakti. That is the example, that is the definition. You have to have an intense desire for serving Krishna. Not necessary of discussing it at Vaidhi level. So this, you don't have to worry about Raganuga Bhakti at the Vaidhi level of sadhana. Rather, we just have to remember it, and it will be useful for us later on. It must develop of itself at a more advanced stage. The person artificially cannot take to renunciation. It has to come by practice. Raganuga devotees do not follow very strictly, but their spontaneous nature become attracted to some of the eternal devotees and try to follow in their footsteps spontaneously. Gradual development of ambition. Some more points. I'll finish in 10 minutes. Such eagerness to follow not possible unless one is free from material contamination or anartha nivritti. Unless a person has given up all these bad habits, if he reaches this Raganuga Bhakti, means there is something is wrong. He has not, either he is not a devotee or he has no anartha. It is both are not possible. I have a lot of anartha and I already succeeded in my devotional life. That is wrong. Advanced devotee should not show it even if he attained. That means a person who has attained Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prema, still he also behaves like an ordinary person. He don't have to do a announcement. That is the relation between Krishna and the devotee only. Continue to act as neophyte as long as in the body. So you just serve them as a neophyte devotee. What is the difference? Internally think of the Lord and develop sentiments in following a particular associate. And a particular taste may be shown by absorbing especially in one of the Nava Angas, that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam. So you can be more specific about your devotion to Krishna. Just like here, Krishna is being fed by the Gopabalas with different items. Mistaken Siddha Pranali. Siddha Pranali is like if somebody has told you that in spiritual life you are a tree. Okay, now I'll stand like a tree. That is wrong. Bona fide process followed by unauthorized people manufacture their own ways, imagine to become associates simply by thinking of themselves like that. Behavior not according to the principles. They may have habits of smoking or drinking, whatever, but when they come back here, they will speak very nicely about Krishna Katha, but they have not yet given up their bad habits. Raganuga and Ragatmika. Every devotee in his perfectional stage has a spontaneous attraction for the Lord. The lust is the devotee's excessive desire to serve the Lord in particular capacity. That is lust. Raga Anuga, that is following in the footsteps of Ragatmika Bhakti. In that also there are two parts. One is Kama Rupa, other one is Sambandha Rupa. Kama Rupa is Madhurya and Sambandha Rupa is other devotees like Vatsalya or Sakhya, all these things. So in this way, we can see this is a Goloka Vrindavan, and around that there are different pastimes going on by Krishna. Now coming to conjugal love, that is between Radha and Krishna, directly attached Keli or through hearing the pastimes, possible only for those who already engaged in service and develop relationship with the deity. Hearing become attracted. Now this is a more advanced stage where the person is attracted to Krishna spontaneously, and he will attend all the practices or all the opportunity for meeting the devotees. He will take it. So with this, we have come to the conclusion. In 14th chapter, we have seen the relation of devotional service to other spiritual practices. What are the prerequisites? Is it I have to have knowledge and devotion? Is it required all really? That is the question. 15th chapter, spontaneous devotional service, that is Ragatmika Bhakti, which is performed by the residents of Vrindavana. And 16th one is spontaneous devotion service in practice. That is the process of Raganuga Bhakti. Is the spontaneous devotional service in practice. So with this, we have completed today's 3 chapters. That is chapter number 14, 15, and 16. Now let us see the questions. If there are any questions, you can ask questions by raising your hand.